All right, passing the rock Thursday. We're back. Coop is in, ready to talk some football. What's up, Coop?
We're going on rocking the Italian style today. Slick back.
Football. This is the official week start tonight. Thursday night football. It's the start of week 7, almost halfway through. A fun Thursday night game last Thursday between the Patriots and the Giants. As we predicted, very competitive, very down to the wire. Not really, but it was a fun first half. So, Coop, your thoughts on the Giants? Where do they stand right now this season? Your general thoughts.
Well, to say they've had a rocky start, I don't think would be an accurate measurement. They're 2-4. They've had some teams where they could definitely have. Let's just say they've had some teams where they should have lost. The teams that they should have won to, they won to. In my opinion, you got some of the guys in offense coming back. I know Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley are both interacting in practice full now.
Barkley is pretty much officially in for Sunday.
So he's in for Sunday. Okay, so they're playing the Jets. No, they're playing next week. They're playing the Cardinals, I think.
Yes.
So okay, so that should be a pretty easy victory. And then they have the
Cardinals. I think are 2-3-1 too.
Yeah, but their defense is pretty.
So it's
god awful.
But anyways, I mean, it's a winnable game.
It's definitely a winnable game. They got, I know, what's his name? Gallman and Shepard. They've been doing limited practice time. So we're starting to get those key offensive.
If I had to make a prediction, I would say you don't see Gallman this Sunday.
I'm not saying, probably not this Sunday, but we do have Saquon, hopefully. Mm-hmm. So I'm not too worried about Gallman right now. I'm just worried about getting these key offensive pieces back together. As it stands now, we're 3rd in the NFC East.
Well, that's just one thing I actually want to touch on is like usually when you're 2-4, you're kind of out of it, but It's a weird situation. The NFC, a lot of teams have gotten off to hot starts, like the Packers or the 49ers or whoever you want to bring up. They've gotten off to hot starts, but in the NFC East, there's really been no team to separate themselves from the pack. The Cowboys and the Eagles are 3-3. The Giants are 2-4. Even the Redskins are only 2 games out of it. They're 1-5.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. It's kind of weird how it's been like it's been like a popcorn bag. Just a lot of just a shotgun blast of teams that you thought would be doing well and dominating, and then they're not. And then teams like the Giants that were projected to not go anywhere, they're starting to slowly creep up, even though even though they have a 2-4 record.
Yeah,
it's odd. With that being said, though, let me get into my extra topic, my hot take. I think the Giants make the postseason.
You think the Giants? So, in my opinion, right, there's only going to be one team coming out of the NFC East, unless either the Cowboys or the Eagles get off, or anybody for that matter goes on this big run. Because, I mean, 3-3, you look at the rest of the league, or the NFC even. In the North, you have the Packers and the Bears and the Vikings and the Lions, who are all off to 500 or better starts.
Right.
And then in the West, the Niners and the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. And in the South, you have the Panthers and the Saints, who are both off to good starts. So my estimate of it would be that the NFC East would have one playoff team, whether it be one of the 4. Would you agree with that? Or do you see 2 teams coming out of the division?
I agree with you.
So you think the Giants are the only team out of that division?
No, I wouldn't say that. I say the Packers.
No, out of the NFC East. I mean,
out of the NFC.
You think they win the NFC East?
It's a tough bid. Because who's in the NFC East with them?
The Eagles, the Redskins, and the Cowboys.
Cowboys. Okay. Well, I saw the Cowboys versus the Jets game.
No good.
That was a game they definitely should have won. They looked sloppy until the Jets kind of were wanting to give them the win by the end there, but
and the refs too.
And the refs. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But the quality of play has been a little bit weird, I think, in the East, at least, if not the entire league. But I think if it keeps going in this general trajectory, I don't see why there's a reason why we can't come out of the NFC.
Yeah,
East,
I mean,
especially with all these offensive weapons coming back.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles and the Cowboys right now are not who you thought they were.
Definitely not.
I mean, I certainly thought too that they were going to be 2 of the best teams in the NFC. So far, they have shown they haven't been. And the Giants so far have been meh, which is kind of what everybody thought they would be.
Yeah.
I mean, meh teams make the playoffs all the time. So, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there's no reason why they can't. Do I think they do? Do I think they make it out? Noah was walking by. Do I think they make it out? I don't think so. I think one of the top 2 teams will, but I'm not going to say that there's a 0% chance they don't.
Who do you think comes out?
Probably Eagles.
Yeah. Eagles.
Yeah,
they just got to get their act together.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, yeah. I mean, they're banged up right now. Eventually, they're going to get healthy.
Yeah.
Eventually, that defense is going to start figuring it out. And on offense, they're missing like Deshaun Jackson and weapons like that, so they're going to get healthy there. Carson Wentz is going to get some help. That defense is going to figure out. They're too good to miss the playoffs. They almost did last season, then they picked it up at the end. To me, they're too good to miss the playoffs. The Cowboys, to me, Dak had played well against really bad teams and then against good teams. And I know the Jets were 0-4, but they weren't an 0-4 team. They were just missing Darnold. With Darnold, they're
talk about Darnold, man, a gunslinger.
Yeah, they're. I mean, maybe we'll touch on this later too. But the Jets and the Patriots on Sunday, I don't think that's or Monday. I'm sorry, I don't think that's a guarantee for the Patriots. 100%.
Really?
They're gonna. Yeah, but I'll touch on that later. So but when you talk about the 3 teams that they've gone up against, the Packers and the Jets and whatever, Dak does not look good. The Cowboys have not looked good. They've lost their past 3 games against teams that are just as good as them. So when you beat up on bad teams but lose to good teams, I mean, I guess you face more non-playoff teams than you do playoff teams in this league.
But if you're making the playoffs, then that's a problem.
But they still need to face the Eagles twice, right?
Yeah.
So that's a potential loss.
You talk about the Giants,
the Cowboys. I mean,
I know the Giants also do.
That's why I think the Eagles have shown that flash in Green Bay. I mean, the Eagles won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I know what the Eagles are.
Yeah,
the Cowboys haven't shown that they can be a top contender that I can rely on to go on this run to make the playoffs. So if I had to pick, it would be the Eagles.
I would definitely say so. I mean, it's weird seeing the Cowboys, man. They got so many, they got Peyton Van Der Esch, great linebacker. I mean, you talk about the quarterback, the running back, great offensive line, Zeke, Dak, Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, they're
all
good.
types of wide receivers. They should be overachieving right now.
But I mean, they missed 2 years ago. I mean, granted Zeke went down with the suspension, but they did miss the playoffs 2 years ago. I mean, they won a playoff game last year, but it's not like, I thought they were guaranteed in the playoffs, top seed, maybe win the division, maybe not, but because it's a competitive division. But now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I already listed all those teams that are already off to better hot starts than them.
Right.
It's tough for me to see 2 teams coming out of the NFC East division. If I had to pick one, it would be the Eagles. I think the Eagles are better than the Cowboys.
Well, I just wanted to bring up the Giants' schedule, because it's sort of a soft schedule. With that being said, they do play the Eagles twice. They do play Dallas one more time. They play the Cardinals 2 more times, I believe. They play the Dolphins. Easy dub. They play the Bears. I see that as kind of being a toss-up, if I'm being honest, if all the offensive weapons come back. I think they just need to, like you said, like you always say, there's some games that you should win, that you lose, and some that you lose and you win, that you should lose and you win.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, I'm optimistic, and I'm going to go against the grain here. I think the Eagles and Cowboys are both terrific teams, but I'm going to go against my usual instinct, and I'm going to say Giants make it in there.
All right. Respect that. Switching gears a little bit here, LeVar Ball's favorite thing to do. Monday Night Football. Everybody's talking about it. Packers and Lions. Trey Flowers down the stretch gets called for 2 hands to the face penalties that weren't hands to the face penalties. Extended 2 scoring drives to the Packers. Packers end up winning. They probably wouldn't have scored on either of those 2 drives and probably wouldn't have won the game without those 2 calls. It's not just that; it's other cases throughout the season
and through last season too.
Yeah, refs, blowing calls all over the place. The NFL has instituted pass interference challenges. It hasn't really much changed off of that. I guess, what is your take on all this refereeing? Do you see a solution to fixing these problems?
Well, I was reading up on something. Was it the same reoccurring ref, I think, that made some of the calls that night? Was it at the, I think it was the Packers Lions game where it was the same ref?
I don't know that for sure. I just know it was Trey Flowers, 2 hands to the face penalties within 5 minutes of each
that
other.
weren't
That weren't at all. And he has never been. I mean, he played for the Patriots. He's a great defensive end. He had never been called for that call. Like, this is a fact. He had never been called for illegal hands to the face in his entire career. He got called for it twice in the span of 5 minutes when he shouldn't have. That's all I know.
Well, yeah, no, I was reading something, and it was kind of like it was the same. It was the same referee that night reffing that Green Bay and Lions game. Was the same referee that made that call against the Saints,
or didn't make the call.
Didn't make the call.
Yeah.
The Rams pass
so like
interference.
I guess my question would be to you is like, I mean, I know I have my take on this, but do you see a solution for all these blown calls essentially?
I'd say, man, just you gotta. I mean, it's not all the refs, right? You've got some great referees in there. You need to, like they did with the Canelo versus Gennady Golovkin fight, where they put the ref that kind of put it as a draw. I forget her name. It was Ref Bird. She just took a step back. They gave her suspension. I think that's what needs to happen with these referees. Or that you just fire them, can them, get some college refs. I feel like college refs could at this point do a better.
My take on this would be you have 2 options. Number one would be to you've already made pass interference challengeable.
Right.
Make everything challengeable. If a coach sees a replay and knows that the call is blown, make that challengeable. Or 2, don't allow to challenge. Like don't allow pass interference challenges. There's no reason to me why you're able to challenge some plays, not other plays. Either make everything challengeable or make nothing challengeable. And then if you make nothing challengeable, then move to your thing. Start penalizing the refs for some of these bad calls. Because there's
maybe like fines.
Yeah, fines or suspensions or something. Make them pay. If a player makes a mistake or if a coach makes a mistake, they might lose their job over it. I'm not saying fire refs over a blown call. What I'm saying, start instituting some penalties for it, because you can't. Because I know what you're saying. It's not all the refs, but if those aren't called, the Lions probably, and there was a pass interference too that could have gone either way.
It's
the Lions probably should have
progress of the game. But that's what that's doing.
It's diluting the progress of the game. And also too, it's like, and if the Saints, it's, whether they would have won that game or not is up to debate, but the Lions would have gotten 2. Those were 2 third down penalties that bailed the Packers out of having to give the ball back to the Lions. If those weren't called, I guarantee you the Lions win that game. So it's costing teams games. I get human reffing is a part of the game, but you need to get the calls right. Like, refereeing shouldn't be a part of the game. They shouldn't be something that we're discussing.
Right.
I mean, I get in every sport there are blown calls, but there's been too many flags this year there shouldn't have been, and there's been too many missed calls. There's been too many. You're the number 1 sport in America, and your product is what everybody's associating with right now is bad refereeing. That needs to change. So one of 2 options: either make nothing challengeable and penalize the refs, or make everything challengeable.
If you make everything challengeable, though, do you use timeouts?
I mean, it would be the
challenge.
It would be the same challenge rules that you have. I mean, but like if for example, if Matt Patricia, the coach of the Lions, sees that replay and says Trey Flowers didn't hit that guy in the face, then they'll be challenge flag.
No, definitely. What do you think about maybe moving away from a foul implementation system?
What do you mean?
Like, it's foul implementation system. Like, what do you think about moving away from every time a coach wants to throw a foul flag, or the coach wants to challenge, that should burn a timeout? Like, how do you think the game would be changed if they just kind of like they gave him like a certain amount, like 5 challenges per game?
Well, I mean, I think that the actual challenge system they have in place is great. You get 2. If you get one right, you don't lose a timeout. If you get both right, you get an extra challenge. And if you lose one, you lose a timeout. Like, I don't think that coaches should be allowed to just be like, oh, well, we'll just challenge that play because what the heck. I mean, I think there should be you're delaying the game, because you are delaying the game when you throw the challenge flag. You're delaying the game. I think there should be some penalty of it when you delay the game for no reason. So I think that what they have in place is fine. I wouldn't move towards changing that. I mean, I would just more change what you're allowed to challenge, what you're not allowed to challenge. Because the fact that there are some plays that are completely blown by refs, and this isn't just penalties, it's fumbles and catches too. yardages. I mean, the fact that there's some plays you're allowed to challenge and other plays are not allowed to challenge is it's dumb to me. You should be focused on getting the call right. I hate when a game is entirely free plays and challenges or whatever, but I'm in favor of getting the call right, because if you don't get the call right, you could potentially be costing teams games.
Definitely. I think, and last thing, because I think we're running out of time here. I think, if you put 5 right challenges in there, and you have since I understand that it's delaying the game in some sense, maybe you put a timer, right?
What do you mean?
Like, if a coach wants to challenge something, the refs can only look at it, because it's like that in the UFC. When they have VAR in the UFC now, and when the ref wants to view something, they get a 2 minute allotted time. So maybe it's like that with the NFL. And
I know in baseball they have that issue too, where sometimes you're just looking at something for like 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
It's like, all right, you can't settle it then.
So you just got to make a decision.
The way it is.
So I think maybe if they add just a clock to it, and that could help speed up the game, and
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'm not really focused right now on like the challenging systems, because I guess that's a whole different discussion. Like my thing is just like
helping improving
needs to be done. Yeah, I mean, because like I don't care if the NFL game takes an extra 5 minutes for me to watch. I mean, like I don't really care about that. It just more frustrates me than when on Monday night, like when it comes down to it at the end of the season, if the Lions come up 1 win short, you're gonna look back at that Monday night game and be like, well, could that be changed if the refs had gotten the call right that night?
Definitely.
I don't know. I just hate when people end up having to pay for somebody else's mistake.
Yeah. And it's got to be bad for like the refs that are actually doing their jobs decently. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing about refereeing is if you did a good job, nobody's going to pat you on the back. Nobody's talking about you. So I guess you'd rather you don't want people to be talking about you, but nobody after a game, nobody's ever said like, oh wow, that was a really well refereed game. If it was a well refereed game, people aren't talking about it because they're talking about the game itself. Yeah. But I find that
they're talking about the flags that are thrown.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that like, when people blame the refs, they're right every time, because they're not. That's the oldest excuse in the book. When your team stinks, just blame the refs.
Yeah, blame the refs. Yeah.
It is a problem this year and lately.
And yeah,
I mean, they had to
back to the end of last season.
Yeah, it's been a problem.
Definitely.
All right, so I think as you pointed out, we are running a little long here, so we're going to take a quick break. NBA season starts Tuesday, so when we're back, we'll be talking about that a little bit.
Man, that was crisp.
Yeah.